Topical eligibility affirmatives need to expand eligibility for visas to a currently excluded group and set aside substantially more visas than currently available. The app only expands the definition of who can qualify for T visas without a corresponding increase in visas, which just makes visas available from the existing pool. Our hash evidence defines legal eligibility for visas in the field context. This precision is critical. Briggs 9. Immigration policy in the U.S. having the terminology, key topics, by logical understanding, taken out of context, and the failure of your definition of immigration law, so only one can understand policy. You must prefer this interpretation over Professor Q's 2AC ad-libbed interpretation. They don't even have a definition for a holistic reading of the resolution. The first half calls for an increase in visas to a currently eligible immigrant population. The second half calls for an increase in visas to a new currently excluded immigrant population. Our interpretation clearly anchored in the resolution of eligibility means qualifying, being admissible, having visa number available to occur. 8. An alien is eligible to receive an immigrant visa condition to meeting some of the category requirements of immigrant classification, having visa number available to visa applicant himself be. And admissible beneficiaries, the visa recipient had or 99, the beneficiary of the alien himself received the visa. Expand means and then increase the interest in 9. The term expand means the increase the size quantity scope of the expansion means simply more than change purpose also covers the increase in size volume. B. Expand requires a pre-existing baseline. Stern 9 means term expand and friend definition of the term definition of the MTC already been introduced to. So the charge of expanding eligibility has historically accompanied it. Visa set aside given 5 the Refugee Act in 1988 expands the definition of refugee to 5.4 and expected quota of additional refugee visas. They say that they meet because there are 14 million undocumented individuals, but they just expand eligibility, but not beneficiary eligibility. That causes an internal trade-off by allowing victims to qualify for visas. They compete with existing beneficiaries for these visas, automatically making ineligible an equivalent number of qualified people who would otherwise receive T visas because of things like human trafficking. There's a cap for trafficking visas because T visas at 5,000 USCIS. No date Congress limits the number of T visas to 5,000. Failure to provide visas are not topical since the cap limit to eligibility fails to a cap. They prevent eligible individuals from receiving service. They requested practical matter caps of eligibility requirement for the program individual to apply after the caps on reach are not eligible. And they have a bad method for quantifying the expansion. It's impossible to know if they're not expansion of visa beneficiaries because we'd have to determine it from statistics, which are only released periodically in time delayed, unwinds the quality and AFM. No date, state, published monthly visa bulletin, which provides information to the public regarding the availability of visas. It is impossible to know if the cap has been filled or not. Only our interpretation demands a stable method for determining the expansion since the increase is based off the cap, which serves as a baseline. They should also have to define substantial and specific number in the plan, key writing, fed, cap, and voting issues. Start 97 substantially. No, finally, file specification of the draft should be able to create a flexible claim of elimination of this for the ground fact. Not defining a person with the body to define substantially the small parts of labor clarity. And evidence. The next argument is that they say the eligibility to apply means availability. The interpretation was already explained. Their interpretation is bad. Ours is better. A's point. It limits the limited topic provided by our interpretation. Causes more in-depth case debates. Makes it more likely enhancing visa education. Unlimited topic also rust on hyperterms like process complaints and the state can't otherwise topic discussion. The topic is already broad. Therefore, meta categories, subsets, disparate advantages, few generics. Their interpretation opens the floodgate in two ways. They allow bi-directional affirmatives. It allows for proliferation of visa trade-off. Good advantages. Force and negative defend visa good, which is backwards. Having prayer for visa good, bad. One of the rest of overstructure negative reason bi-directionality must be rejected because it makes winning impossible. The negative 2 availability apps. They expand eligibility for visas where the cap has already been filled, or expand eligibility where there is no demand for visas and claim symbolic, critical, and relations advantages. Allows a huge number of apps to allow any marginalized group to immigrate. Our interpretation is better for ground because the best ground is predicated off of the increase. Links to politics, econ, nativism, and consumption is dependent on there being more immigrants in the U.S. Not just the visas being available to these persons. Debating about numbers is central. Rand 2K. The debate about immigration policy in the U.S. Senator Trump, how many too many who do it under what conditions, too many focus on the economic, social effects of immigration. More questions concerns the distribution effects of wins and loses immigration, fully lesbians, cost benefits, and this debate over the cap of speedy ground education. H1B proves her 8. Large amount of controversy about H1B points on the cap. There's license by county piece of media attention rabbit legislative based on raising or lowering the cap. The best counterplans are also all based on an increase in visa, but there are various mechanisms to accomplish that, like auction, raise the cap, eliminate the cap, and float the cap. Very few competitive CPs for extending eligibility mechanisms based are good because it gets more requests for increasing visas, and the critique ground is better under our interpretation because they have to actually make sure that people get the visas. So the visa bad pay is only relevant in the world of our interpretation, which is critical negative ground, error negative, because scholars are decisively asked by a struck 7 over 2 decades of immersion immigration culture, but economic single active specialized immigration favors 15 level limit to the advantage here, which all immigration law scholars show this would have lowest legal admission to substantive entitlements to citizens. The next argument, they say that our interpretation makes solvency probabilistic. That only happens in the world of their interpretation because we don't know how many people would actually get the visas or how many visas are set aside for these people. Only our interpretation demands that we have to increase it from a stable baseline, which is the existing cap. The next argument interpretation be gracefully bound. Now, not true at all. The point of our topic arguments is to determine whether a reasonable interpretation of the topic is a violation that they're outside the scope of the interpretation is critical because the resolution contains no words that provide inherent limits. So we need to craft the best possible interpretation, or else all predictability is lost. They say that we eliminate all of the T visa affirmatives. No, because we preserve the innovation because there are a variety of mechanisms they can use to increase visas, like eliminating the cap, raising the cap, auctioning, or a point system. There's a topical version of their app. They can expand eligibility to allow formally excluded class persons to qualify and set aside a corresponding number of visas for those individuals. They don't do that in the plan text. The plan text is critical because it's the only objective standard. The debate around for evaluating whether or not there are an actual increase. We also Also, the next argument is that we make them always lose to picks, but these types of picks are good. The resolution makes things like offsets competitive. The increase in the first half and expanded eligibility point in the second half, and debating about reallocating a finite number of visas enhances top education. Chiswick 9, and optimal immigration policy not being opened over the closer mechanisms of the aggression of the finite number of visas and immigration policy must consider the types of immigrants, and this is a predictable and generic that can cut across all parts of the topic. It's necessary on a huge topic, and a topical affirmative could eliminate the cap and expand eligibility, which would make that pick not competitive. So it's not a reason why our interpretation is bad. Mission. First argument is permutation. Do both, but the perm must include the recommendation to increase visas as controversial links to politics. Otherwise, it's severance such voting issues and less than all competitive strategies. Mike Kuhl also been announced doing both doesn't solve A. Congressional debates in the CP. The commission which can resolve disputes internally, including that provides congressional law, which connects the Firestone B coalition building. If you solve politics, the perm destroys by forcing Congress the details of policy making before the recommendation is done. That is handled. Next argument is permutation due to the counter plan. The CP is competitive, it doesn't guarantee a recommendation, let alone congressional implementation. Commission's only advisory. Campbell 2, the elected official must decide whether not commission recommendation, only advisory national public policy, current the authority of the commission not make false support. The action not enforce law. Fiat means the F has to defend the permanent and unconditional implementation of the plan. Fixed investments for next one can roll by question after each family certainty is vital. All the ACEs predictable unique decisions are about the sex code. This interpretation of resolution is grounded A resolve. We can project from decision plan be enacted current in dictionary 6 to make the permanent decision pass resolution himself. The limit should be allowed to join B should the present plan be done unconditionally summertime before not expecting the conjunction of the term should be normally related to purpose society ability to reduce the damage of the plan. Obligation be more than the price of the parties into legislation agree with the customers interpret to meet the parties under obligation. See substantial. Requires the plan be done unconditional immediate words of praise 64 substantial means that actually not merely be what is multiplied potential real at present time. That means the permanent severance, which is voting issue says lets the F artificially insulate themselves competitive and extracts undermines cost benefit analysis voting issue. The CP is competitive and good because the only the immediate creation of the commission, the rest of the solvency is contestable. This establishes the ground that distinguishes us from things like delay counter plans because those fiat guaranteed implementation. The CP is also a predictable alternative to traditional policymaking. Campbell 2 commissions have a long history used by all levels of government for every conceivable test. That means the app should be compared to the basic characteristics and to the commission process, and the CP is functionally technically competitive. Does not have the same doesn't have the same text as the plan and is functionally different for the reasons explained above. The next argument they say we finish out the process. Not true. We endorse the commission as the best way to solve the case. All over arguments of case prove that you need to adopt the most politically you should adopt the most politically acceptable solution in order to cause the best compromise on immigration. The next argument say no solvency evidence. The commission would recommend the plan to Congress. The narrow agenda mandated makes the agreement more likely that when they can see that outside expertise ensures that they'll adopt the plan as well because there will be a thorough review of the best available policy, and when government actors testify they'll recommend the plan that ensures adoption. That's a Campbell evidence. The next argument say doesn't shield politics. They say doesn't shield politics. It avoids politics because they avoid the conventional debates in Congress. That's Campbell. It's perceived as nonpartisan. And outside the legislative process made of non-governmental experts in the field gives about political cover. That's Campbell. The process solves the link. Bloomberg 10 downs to bring a new approach giving the commission power to recommend levels of visa loss management for the need for political cover. Said Baker, political sign crop. They did not read a card on this in the 2AC. They come up and read a slew of new evidence in the 1R and new 2NR responses. Advantage. The counterplans that will solve the racism impact argument explicitly act against saying there be no solvency evidence that it does not solve. The counterplan also takes responsibility for the exploitation of the status quo. So any morality advantage or any ethical obligation is solved by the counterplan. Was solved by the counterplan. The utilitarianism is critical in the immigration context. First two pieces of evidence say that moral values need to inherently be weighed with the feasibility of their proposals. That is, if it would cause major political firestorm and economic collapse, you should weigh that against the potential moral consequences. Consequences are key. It doesn't make wars inevitable. It's empirically disproven. Our Louis evidence says that the most likely this is to restrain policymakers and restrain the war, the impulse to go to war. The dots of evidence says most likely that ethical policymaking would be made in a world of utilitarianism because we think about the consequences of what going to war would cause on the United States. That means that utilitarianism is a life-affirming philosophy. Our Louis evidence says that when you fail to look at utilitarianism, it makes it more likely that there are going to be sacrificial wars and genocide because any of the people who would be affected by our impact to the disad are people whose lives do not count in their framework. This means why extinction comes first. That's our Leslie evidence that turns about the life evidence. That's our Rhett evidence.
Okay, really quickly, on the bottom of the topicality debate, you said that the pick out of the cap wouldn't be competitive. Why is that true?
Well, you could write your plan in a way that would be competitive.
Is there like a particular way that
you could eliminate the cap? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's timer's going on, Kevin. Sorry. Your politics link for the one in C says that the plan is unpopular with lawmakers who seek to decrease attendance or elimination. Lawmakers criticize an expansive approach to means supporting migrants who deliberately violate laws across borders. Your shielding evidence on the counter plan says that this allows policymakers to get away with shit that the public might otherwise want them dislike that they do. I have no idea why the counter plan would result in the plan.
Our evidence says that
independent commissions have a certain degree of authority and leverage as Congress relates to them, as opposed to the normal legislative procedure. It's more likely that Congress people are going to trust the commission because it has nonpartisan experts make a recommendation.
I'm confused to see why that would really matter at all to people who think that any whiff of asylum or giving status for undocumented immigrants is unpopular with them.
Well, the way that...
I understand why it shields them from politics, but I don't understand why that means the result of the plan.
It would result in the plan because the Congress people are able to say, this is what the commission recommended.
Are able to say, right, if they wanted to pass off responsibility. I get that argument. I don't understand why the counterplan makes them want to do the plan.
Well, our Campbell evidence and our Schwinn evidence both say that when they hear from nonpartisan experts, our Congress does pass the recommendations. The the BRAC that occurred was a major controversial issue.
So they should hear some experts. So it's really gonna win over all those, like Tea Party people. They really love that data.
It doesn't. We don't need to win that.
Okay.
There just doesn't need to be horse trading in Congress, which is the thesis of our political capital.
You have to win that in order to win the capital response to the plan. Your topicality argument, all topical affirmatives under your interpretation have to lift the cap or increase the cap, right?
Well, they could lift doesn't eliminate.
Yeah, eliminate or increase the cap. Even if the SQO does not meet the cap.
Yeah, you would have to set aside visas for those
I'm confused because in order for you to win, that we violate your topicality argument.
There are multiple answers to what you just said. You could set aside visas within the existing cap. You could eliminate.
I understand. That's not my question.
Okay.
In order for you to win your link to your topicality argument that we do not provide or give the visas to the ones we make eligible, you need to win that we are hitting the cap now.
No, that's not true because even if you do, and even if you fill the cap, you've automatically taken away eligibility for visas from individuals who have been sex trafficked and all other individuals who could get
that's
visas.
a question of what the plan does. If we say we extend these visas to sex trafficking to different means.